Daylight savings give us a little bit of a loop for our money here today. Started an hour early. Now I had to redo it for the right timing. And now we're late. Wouldn't be the first time this kind of stuff has happened, though. So, and for some reason, my laptop's not transmitting well enough to become a part. Okay, we gotta get back here. Mute that. Hi, Dan. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Right on.
So, stream happening here.
What's that?
I said we actually have a stream happening.
Is there anyone else on here?
Nope, just the two of us.
I came on at 11, but I was all alone.
You were actually online at 11?
Yeah, for 10 minutes.
Oh, really? Because I didn't even have a setup happening.
Oh, yeah, I clicked the link in the email and it was just
Oh,
blank.
okay. So you
Oh,
got
good.
the old one.
Might have been.
My clock didn't get reset.
Oh,
So it got set for 11, or it was on daylight savings. So I was online at 10 minutes to actually 10.
oh no.
So I sat there for a half an hour and nobody showed up. So I went, oh, okay, well, that's good enough for now. And so I shut down.
Daylight savings time, it'll get you.
Yeah, so I wish they'd get rid of it. So the way we're working at it right now is you're logged into StreamYard.
That's right.
Which is where the administrators and guests are chatting. So the broadcast side isn't even needed. Like you can actually see what we're see and listen to us talking on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it actually is live streaming, but it isn't really necessary when you're logged in like we are.
Right, I understand.
Directly to the council. And I can have up to 6 people right now on this council. So I'm busy trying to figure out how to do all this software stuff because this is only the 3rd attempt to do a live stream.
Well, I'm happy to be a guinea pig for you.
So how your day been going?
Oh, pretty busy. I got a friend coming. We're going to be building a shop beside the house, just to kind of have a workshop and a place for all our tools. So lots going on. Just getting the house buttoned up for winter, finding all the holes where mice are getting in, and fixing trim. And yeah, it's the whole thing. Still need to wrap the bees too. I definitely wanted to just go over that with you.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I've been working on. I just organized all of my pictures and videos in regards to that topic. So let me go here.
On your YouTube channel?
Not yet. I'm still. I had a major computer glitch here just recently, and what happened is I went over to Windows and used Windows, and it tried to reinstall itself, upgrade itself, and then it trashed all my drives. So I ended up having to. So I lost my Linux partition, and the Linux is where I do all my work, not in Windows.
Oh, right, of course.
And so what I'm trying to do here is just find here. Let's go to the Pi bookshelf. Is that it? I'm going to go to the directory in which I have all the files in, and I'll just open them and talk as I go, just to try this whole thing out.
Perfect. Well, I'm happy to hang out here. I've got a friend coming over here in about 15 minutes that I have to. So I've only got about 15 minutes, but
Okay.
I'm happy to join you another time too.
Yeah. Well, as we get the bugs worked out of this, it's going to get easier.
No problem.
Okay, I'm going to allow that. And that brings me up my. So now you should be able to, you should be seeing my file directory here.
Yep, I am.
Okay, so where am I going here? Videos. This I just spent the morning cleaning up.
Nice.
So, because like I say, it took me days to get my system back up and running. And now, unfortunately, this particular file browser doesn't give me the actual, like I can't see the image.
Right.
So I'm just gonna have to go by, okay, this is one of the things I'm gonna have to go back to a different setup. Getting to know all this shit.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah. So here, this makes it easier. So now I've got the entire desktop. You're seeing what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Okay, so where was I? I was doing. Okay, this is John's yard. And this is a little bit of an overkill. John likes to do things really intensively. And so this is his old breeder yard. And all of this stuff on the fence, that fence there, that's a snow fence. Behind that is a bear fence.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so the snow fence is just to keep drifting and stuff down. If we got, he's in a pretty windy spot, so it makes sense. But you can see all along here, there's trees. So he's placed this yard on the south. So going to his right is south.
Okay.
And so there's lots of sun coming in here all winter long. But because he's on a bit of a rise there, the wind comes up the Okanagan Valley and blows right through these trees on the back here to help to keep the kind of lift the wind. But
Gotcha.
he put this fence in just to make sure he was covered. There he's got the fence closed. That's one of his boxes.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, that's my box of bees. Shouldn't be in that list. It's not going to do winter. There's the yard. All he's actually got the lids on.
I see. Yeah.
Okay, so just trying to see the. Okay, this is a good example of, like, he puts all of his bees on pallets, and this is the way I recommend it. And you're already halfway there, right? You have your bees on a pallet.
Yeah.
This particular yard is containing a lot of bees. So he has set up the yard differently than I do. He likes to put his in more linear setups. And there's shot in later on in this process where you'll see he has to put identifying markers on each one of the entrances so that the bees don't get lost. Now, this is the way your bees are going to sit most of the summer. They have spaces between the hives.
As they are now, yeah, for us.
Yeah. Now, when you're wintering, you push all the hives together in a big square.
Okay.
All right. The reason why is that if you put them together like this, you'd have an airspace there. That airspace has its disadvantages. One disadvantage is that airspace provides a place for bugs to, or mice and anything to set up home for the winter in there.
Of course.
It also keeps the hives apart. So when they're touching like this, the heat from one hive will transmit into the other. So in this setup, there's three sides of, or two sides of every hive are touching another hive. So there's only two sides in the colony that's exposed directly to the outside weather.
Gotcha.
Okay, so this here in this center in the middle here is the hot point. Here you have the air circulating everywhere. So there's no sharing of heat between
In our
hives.
case, we only have the two active hives, so we would just push the one wall together, I'm assuming.
Yes, and generally speaking, the way yours are set up, just move them back, just move the back to back.
Yeah.
So touch it. Now, with his system, he has insulated blocks that he lays on the top. Okay, that insulates the top of the hive, keeps the heat down in there.
Is that
could
on
also-
top of the lid?
On top the inner cover.
Okay,
So here
so take the lid
this-
off and then put an insulating layer.
Yeah. So this here is the inner cover. And with his style of inner cover, it's flush on the top and the bottom has a bee space. So you want the bee space down in the wintertime because it gives the bees two layers of bees to go over the top of the hive. Where was that picture?
Yeah, is that a close-up? Danielle, you got 10 minutes? I'm going to get Danielle in here too.
Okay, so when you see this hive here, the bees there's only a one bee space between the top of the box and the hive and the frame right there. So that means in the winter, if you put the inner cover on with a plywood side down, yours aren't quite set up that way. Yours are actually got a half a bee space, so it doesn't matter which way you're putting yours on, but your lids aren't necessarily standard. So having two bee spaces, that means here the bees can rise up with the queen, keep a layer of bees on top of her, and move her from frame to frame, one side of the frame to the other, because the cluster of bees is going to follow wherever the honey is. Okay, so having two bee spaces there allows the queen to go from one side of the frame to the other, and she's not going to get chilled as a result.
Gotcha. But we're not about to change our inner covers right now, right?
Oh no. You could do with what you have.
Yeah.
It's not. We're not going to try to add an extra expense on you. It's just that when in the later day, when you start expanding and raising equipment and expanding your equipment, because you want to go 5 hives or whatever, when you buy your frame or when you make your equipment, you can make the inner cover flat on one side and open on the other, like a bee space on the other. Okay, with where's that here?
And for the insulation that goes on top of the inner cover, What
Mhm.
should we use and how thick should it be?
1 inch blue foam.
Okay,
And
rigid foam.
yeah, if we go back to that, you see here, that's actually just blue foam on the blue foam, and he may have some kind of sticky stuff. He's put duct tape around the whole thing, because the bees, mice won't chew the tuck tape.
Oh,
They will
gotcha.
chew, but they won't chew the tuck.
So just he's put it around the outer edge of the foam.
Yes, that's why it looks like it's got. You can see the red around the outside area. That's to seal it off.
Gotcha. Okay, that's making sense to me now.
Okay. Now with this kind of an inner cover, it's not designed to have a box on top of it. Right. Whereas I have other kinds of inner cover, what we call divider boards, where they have a bee space on the bottom, and the bottom of the board, the top of that is actually got a box screwed on it. So it's the bottom of the box, but it has an entrance right there and right there. You can just barely see it there, but that's where John, he drills holes in the front of his boxes
Okay.
for an upper entrance. You can see it here after it's wrapped. Now, when you put your bees in squares like this, you need to put these on or something like it, which allow, and they're all different. These ones doesn't matter that much. They're pretty close to the same, but the ones that are side by side and along here, these will have all different paint jobs on them. That way, when the bees come,
that's a marker.
yeah, it's a marker. It's a marker, like a flag post for the bees. So when they're flying in here, they remember that they had this funny colored. Maybe one was red, one was blue. Maybe they had patterns on it, so that it's different. This entrance is different from that entrance and different from that entrance, right?
Gotcha.
So it gives
right.
right. If you put your bees in a circle, like, oops, that's not the one I wanted. Yard setup. This is the last. We set up the yard, so we're leveling the yard here.
Okay.
See here now, my bees. When you got the yard leveled, you put the pallets in a pentagram.
Yeah.
It's actually 6 pallets here. The vehicle drives in here, backs in there. So you got easy access to all the pallets.
Beautiful.
Now the reason why this is done this way instead of in that linear lineup is this is automatically orientates the bees. No two hives in this setup have the same orientation. So drift doesn't happen.
So you're talking about the bee entrance is sort of its own path coming in and out for the bees.
Yes, because when you put the bees on this the hive on this pallet, one hive is going to be facing this way. This hive is going to face this way.
Mm-hmm.
This hive is going to face that way. The one on that corner faces the other way. I actually think I have. There, okay. There's an example of the pallet. I like too high because it gives you a really good sitting position. You can sit in front of this hive on just this beehive and lay it on its side, or a stool of some kind like Jolene has, and it gets the top of the box at proper working height for you. And when you split off and take this hive off the top and put it over here on a box, it's exactly the same height, because
Right.
that height and that height are roughly the same. So it allows you a better way of working the bees when you're sitting. And if you're standing up, you're not stooping as much. Plus, every one of these entrances are facing opposite directions. So like this one here, this one, they're facing this way. This open space, this is actually a pretty tight circle. It should be a little bit wider than that. We're kind of limited in space, and the fact that we had slave laborers doing this leveling by hand. We didn't get it quite as wide as I'd like it. For two reasons. One is that this is okay if you're just working the hives. Like you've got your own hives, you're going out, you're working the hive. The beekeeper starts here and goes around this way, right? Through the yard. Okay?
Got it. And we'll be covering this more when we start expanding our yard, only because of a slight shortage on time for us.
Yeah.
Can we just chat a little more about the winterizing process?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so once you've got, where's that picture? There. Once you've got them pushed together like this, okay, now you're going to start putting a wrap on. This is all folding. Where am I at? It's not on it. There will be oh, these can get labeled falling.
Lots of coding.
Yeah, there is. Okay, if I get some of them, what the heck is going on? Why am I getting there? So you see, there's when you take the roll, and you roll it around here. You start in one corner, staple it, and then you roll it flat across the front, like that, all the way around. Now, over there. Now, this one shows the end, where actually that's the roll right there.
Yeah.
And I then this is stapled up the sidewall. Then you fold it around the front entrance. That's the entrance block right there. And you just take that material and you roll it all the way around, and then once you're back over here, you cut it, then you staple it. So it's stapled, stapled, stapled on this outside layer. That holds it all in place. Okay? And again, you're right on the entrance block. That's the entrance right there. So it's sticking out on the entrance.
And then you got to cut a hole for them, right?
Right? Not yet. Okay, at this point here, you're just laying this out. Now you staple it up the front so that it's finished. That piece of material will not go anywhere. The entrance is actually facing towards me there. Then that's where it's going to be sticking up. So now you fold down the top like it was put all in on top, so you can see the inner cover right there.
Yeah.
You're folding this in like you would fold a Christmas package. So you end up like this. All right. All after you fold it all, I've got a whole bunch more pictures of that folding process, but it's pretty straightforward. You fold it down until it looks like that. And then that's one I just had over there.
The tar paper, we've just got standard tar paper here. Nothing
Yeah,
fancy.
this is just tar paper. No, this is just standard tar paper that we used to put on the walls
Yeah.
of buildings. That's all it is. And it's all you really need. It's black, gives you a windbreak, holds the heat in. Now there's a picture, I got a picture here somewhere, although it should have been here, folding wrap top. It should have been that one, but that one obviously got, I missed the picture somehow. There's the whole yard with rocks on top.
So the lids go on after the tar paper is folded down.
You can see here, there's this piece of material. For some reason, I'm missing that picture.
Okay.
It's in there somewhere. There's a picture. We cut it after we end up this one here. Once it's folded over like that, then we put a piece of material on the top of the building paper on the top, just spreading right over the top of it. So it's under the cover because this has got potential holes in it, right? Also, if you had another box on the top, this is a double. If you had a single mounted on the top there, then the material is obviously not going to fold over as nicely as this.
Gotcha. So you would put one piece of tar paper across the top.
Yeah, that one piece of tar paper across the top is going to seal it. Then the lids go on, right? And because your highs are pushed together, the lid isn't going to fit properly. So that's why you put the rocks on there to hold the lids on so that it doesn't fall off. The lids are, you can probably do without it unless it rains a lot. You could probably do without the lids. But just by placing a rock on it, keeps the lid in place and it provides that UV barrier there as well. Although having black there might be a little bit warmer in the winter, but this is all you really need. This works well. Sort of the traditional way of doing it too.
Is there any risk of condensation? I read somewhere that with the black tar paper, you're trapping moisture.
Yeah, but that's also why you put in a top entrance. See, like John's busy here. He drills holes in the top of his boxes. I personally don't like that. I'd rather put a notch here, right? Then the inner cover is what has the opening, not the box. So the position no longer makes any difference. Also, you don't have to stuff these holes as much, right?
Okay.
If you're going to move the 5, you got to stuff that hole. Okay, so then once the that top entrance is well above the snow line, so the bees are going to go fly in and out all the time without any trouble. And it'd be the same if it was there inside that inner cover. And then across the front, that's actually going to have, let's go. So there, you can see that material is all billowing out there. That's where once you've got the materials stapled on, the top folded over, so everything's all folded together like nice and tucked up. Then I should have a finished there. Okay, now you see the entrance blocks nailed on to the front of the hive, so they don't come off. Screw them, nail them, whatever. Okay. And then when you're putting that on, that's when you cut your opening. So right behind there is an opening, so the bees can travel in and out on the bottom board. But it's got a reduced area, so there's not draft. It's easier for the bees to control the draft.
So that's something we have. Pieces of wood with a smaller entrance.
Yeah, that's what that yours are. The ones that came with that are a long piece of wood that extends from one side of the. There's a, I think yours, the bottom board extends beyond, so the block goes to the inside. There's actually a sidewall here on your bottom board on yours. I think.
That's right.
Don't remember.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah, personally, I don't like that setup. I like it. This is the way I like it, all the way across, and then you don't have that. You don't have to try to fit something in between. But it works, and if you really wanted to, you could cut that little section off in the future. But
so underneath this block, with our entrance, that's the entire width of the hive. Do we cut the tar paper for the whole width of the hole that's existing now, and then cover it with these blocks with just small holes, or should we cut just small holes, the same as these outer blocks, through the tar paper?
Just match the outer block. You don't need it all the way across.
Got it.
In fact, as if the paper is hanging down there, it gives an extra little bit of draft barrier.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the upper hole, once you put the paper on, it's going to be loose like this, right? So you want to staple around that hole in the paper.
Okay.
And that holds the paper tight to the hole, to the entrance, and you cut out the hole. Right?
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying there?
I do understand it. For some reason, I'm just trying to picture it. The whole, like currently with no wrap, the top entrance is sort of covered by the lip of the outer lid, right?
Yes. But that's, so you would have to, with that setup, your hole's going to be up here.
Yeah, because the lid's
Rather
now
than-
lifted, so the hole is now exposed.
Yes. Because, and it's on the bottom of your inner cover. So that's where it's going to be up here. And you want to make sure that's stapled down so that the wind can't blow and block this entrance off. Because if the snow level gets up here, which is easy to do, that's not very much snow, is going to cover the ground right up to the top of here, right?
Right.
So snow, there's going to be lots of snow there. So this bottom entrance over the course of the winter can get snowed in by just the physical level of the snow, by wind drifting in there and that. So the upper entrance is the one that they actually come flying out. And they can circulate the air into the hive to keep the moisture levels down. Because you're using styrofoam insulation across it, and the building paper, this building paper actually breathes. So when the sun shines on it, the moisture will go right through that building paper and come out of your hive. Because you don't want to have buildups of moisture in the hive, because then it makes it harder for the bees to stay warm. Dry cold is way better for them. They can survive 20 below in the wind in Saskatchewan with no wind on them.
Wow.
Because they
So when should we do
right?
this? What's the latest date we should have this done by?
Anytime it's convenient for you. Because anytime after they stop flying, you can wrap them. So you could wrap them now. Now is a good time, actually, because they're not flying anymore. In my case, I actually have to move my yard out of the spot where it's at, and so that movement, when they're not flying right now, moving in any easy. You can move anywhere on the property, because technically, when you move a hive, you're supposed to move it at about three kilometers away from its old location. So when a bee flies out, it goes, "Oh, where am I?" They become the native tribe on F Troop.
Gotcha. So I think that's a good thing to get started. I'll reach out if I have questions, just because we're out of time. The only other question just came to me is, we fed them, filled it about halfway with the sugar mixture, about halfway.
Yep.
We went to finish filling it a couple weeks later here, and we basically put the same amount in, and it filled it halfway again. In other words, it seems like they had already consumed the entire half-full feeder, give or take.
Yes.
Could we be adding even more and making sure that feeder is totally full?
No, don't. Right now, they're not going to be taking much more in, I don't think. When was the last time you checked them?
I think it was just yesterday, 2 days ago, we went in just to fill them up again. We had planned to fill it all the way. The amount we made only filled it halfway. So we left it at half full. We finally went back just yesterday after about 2 weeks and filled it again, and it again just went to about halfway.
Right. Yeah, so you're not going to be able to do it again until once you wrap it. I wouldn't put any more in, because if you put more in and they don't take it, then the sugar can ferment in the tray if they don't take it up.
Gotcha.
Right? That's why it's really important to you actually start feeding your bees in late August. As soon as you take the honey off, and you then feed until they have they either don't take any more or they're really nice and heavy. Your highs, to my memory, were pretty heavy. They had lots of food, but keeping the feeder full is just make sure they do have the feed necessary to get through the winter. Because if they don't have enough feed to get through the winter, you're going to lose the bees.
Do they continue? Do they stop? They stop feeding on the feeder sugar water, even if it's not empty. Like they don't continue to feed on that right through the winter.
No, they can only feed on it when it's warm enough for them to get into it, right? Because they have to leave the cluster, which may be in the middle of the hive, to go into the feeder, which is off to one side. In most cases,
I'm worried about the fermenting thing now.
Don't. It's not an issue. No, you don't want to take the feeder out, because then you'll have an empty hole.
Gotcha.
With an empty frame. Yeah. So no, I would leave the feeder in there, and we don't really worry about that. Don't want to have a really full feeder in there if they're not taking it.
Yeah.
And it's a small colony, especially, right? If it's a big colony, deal with it a lot better.
Okay.
But
awesome.
Generally, once you go ahead.
I was gonna. Sorry, you go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Yeah, the feeders are usually, we fill them out in the and if there's any, and this happens when we wrap them, we just leave it. And just in case they might take some of it on a warm day in the middle of the winter, but the odds are that once it's gotten too cold and they have to try to keep that feed warm, then they're going to stop taking it. It's going to take more energy for them to keep it warm, build a temperature up so that they can start making it, and for storage, than to ignore it. Next spring in February, we will be checking that.
Gotcha.
Right. So when we actually unwrap, take all of this wrapping off, that's when we'll check and see how big the colony is, how much weight the colony has, and whether we add sugar February or we just add the pollen patties. Although we only do pollen patties if you're expanding or raising bees. Otherwise, unless the hive is really starving for food, then you will add the Paul and Patty just to make sure they get through, because in the early spring, the temperature thing on the honey on the feeder isn't a bit of an issue. Is that they're not as likely to take it up if there's if the temperatures are cool, and they will be in February, right?
All right.
But if they don't
We've got
have
to cut it off
anything,
because we're running late to pick up our son from daycare and my friends here
Okay.
for the building. But thank you. This was super helpful, Samantha, and we'll continue to be in touch as we go here.
okay,
Have an
Thanks
awesome
for-
day, and thank you again.
yeah, thanks for joining the problematic podcast.
All good. That's how we all learn, right? And I'm happy to keep working with you, and it's nice to be able to do it long distance here and not have to do all the driving today.
Yeah, exactly. So that's and also with this setup is that I'm trying to get to the point where people that are far enough away that they can't make it, they can still benefit.
Of course.
It'd be nice to be able to do this in the yard.
See you soon. Have an
Okay.
awesome weekend. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.